He's a pure savage.
Yeah, he don't care about
He's a
nothing.
pure savage.
Yeah.
And that's also why he was so good at fighting, man. In the middle of the Jose Aldo fight, I remember looking in his eyes and watching how calm, like genuinely calm he was. I'm like, this guy just, and Dana said it best. He's like, he eats pressure. He just eats it. He likes it. He wants it to be chaos. It's got guys say that, but they don't really.
It is interesting that in the time where that low calf kick is coming to prominence, and, you know, this is also the time when Conor started moving away from the sport, took time off, fought boxing, you know, then came back and had the fight with Khabib, and then came back and had the fight with Cowboy. The calf kick was never in play in any of his fights. But if you look at him stylistically, and this is one of the things, I love DC's detail that he does on ESPN. It's amazing. But when he broke down Conor's heavy weight on the right leg, he leans in like this all the time. It's such a big weapon.
And sometimes he, like you said, that wide stance as well. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to check the kick from that wide stance.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's a crazy stance for everything other than calf kicks. It's a great stance. Yeah. I mean, he's so good at moving in and covering distance with that stance.
As of right here, right now, Gaethje McGregor is still on the table. And I think that should be pulled. I do not believe that Conor should walk into a title fight, but moreover, I will tell you, and Conor will too, he's not going to 155. Now, the promotion does not yet have that through their head. They are still pushing for Conor and 155. This is all extremely accurate information. So I think there's a lot of options for McGregor. I really think that if it's not him versus Chandler, it should be. We really should look at that. We fans were promised a certain fight. We fans have been pretty damn patient.
Conor McGregor's name keeps echoing through the sport as the White House card creeps closer, louder, sharper, impossible to ignore. Call-outs stack like threats, contenders circle like predators, and even the so-called experts fracture over what this night is really becoming. One certainty cuts through the noise: if the lights ignite, McGregor stands at the violent center. Everything else is raw opportunity, reckless speculation, and coiled chaos, twitching, waiting, daring fate to collide.
It depends you fight with who. If you're gonna fight with Cowboy Cerrone, you're gonna look good. You're gonna be like lion. But if you're gonna fight like guys who on the top, who really best in the world, like Dustin Poirier, like this fight gonna show your level. You know, okay, fight with Cowboy or like these fights, be lion and that's it, make money. This is smart. But if you wanna become champion, if you wanna fight like Beneil, Islam, Charles, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, these guys lions, you know. These guys gonna show your level.
And one name keeps dragging everyone into its gravity while the picture stays deliberately blurred. Mauricio Ruffy didn't flinch from the White House card, even with Conor McGregor's shadow stretching long and heavy across it. Instead of retreating, Ruffy stepped straight into the turbulence surrounding McGregor when pressed on what comes next. The whispers grew louder that Conor wants a striker across from him, someone who brings danger, not restraint, chaos instead of caution. Ruffy didn't posture loudly, he positioned himself quietly, offering presence rather than demands. He made it clear he's ready to step into the spotlight, absorb the pressure, and let the UFC decide the outcome if McGregor is hunting for a fight that promises sparks, risk, and undeniable entertainment.
What's next, Mauricio?
O que é o próximo? O que é o que vem agora para você?
Eu pedi Paddy Pimblett na Casa Branca, talvez Conor McGregor tá querendo lutar também. Eu vi na internet rumores que ele acha melhor lutar contra mim, que sou um bom striker e que vai dar show pra galera, do que contra o Michael Chandler, que vem só de derrotas. E eu tô aqui, eu sou trabalhador do UFC, o que o UFC colocar, eu tô pronto.
Yeah, I work for UFC, but of course I want to fight on White House, maybe with Paddy Pimblett or maybe Conor. I saw something about Conor saying that it's good to fight with me than Michael Chandler. So yeah, but I'm a UFC, so whatever the guys want to do.
And it isn't just rising contenders carrying that unshakable confidence. The moment Conor McGregor's name enters the conversation, even champions pause and start doing the numbers. Ilia Topuria didn't dance around it or soften the truth. There's no real reason to turn down a fight with McGregor. It isn't about fear or skill, it's about scale. A bout with Conor isn't just competition, it's history, It's a blinding spotlight, its numbers powerful enough to permanently bend a career's trajectory. Topuria made it clear he understands exactly what's at stake, and if that call ever rings, he's ready to answer it without hesitation.
That's the thing about Conor is like still, even though he might not be the best fighter in the world right now, he's the golden goose.
Of course he is.
Yeah,
That's something that you can't take away
kind
from
of
him.
amazing, you know. That's still.
But Joe Rogan strips the situation down to its raw truth when it comes to Conor. Conor McGregor's pull hasn't faded, cracked, or weakened, regardless of where he currently stands as an active fighter. His value remains strangely untouched, even in an era where he's no longer the lone figure sitting atop the skill ladder. McGregor still hijacks attention like no one else, still bends the spotlight in his direction, still guarantees millions of eyes every single time his name is attached to an event. That kind of gravitational force is rare in a sport where stars ignite and burn out overnight. And that rarity is exactly why his name keeps resurfacing, unshakable, unavoidable, threading through every White House conversation like a fuse waiting to be lit.
Still guarantees that many eyeballs will go to see him. You know, it just
That would be a great one. But what excites me more is the fight with Patty.
really.
Yeah, that fight excites me even more. And if they could put that fight in Spain.
Rogan also dug into why McGregor's power cuts far deeper than a record of wins or losses ever could. Standing alongside Chael Sonnen, he framed Conor as one of the rare fighters who didn't just dominate opponents, but quietly rewired the entire business. The blueprint was never only about fighting, it was about disruption, volume, personality, and firing off outrageous lines so loud and relentless that the world had no choice but to stare. That attention snowballed into leverage, and that leverage hardened into money and control. Whether fans admired it or despised it was almost irrelevant. Rogan's point landed clean and sharp. For certain fighters, trash talk isn't noise at all, it's a calculated weapon, a long game disguised as chaos. And McGregor didn't stumble into it, he refined it, sharpened it, and mastered it better than anyone who came before or after him.
I feel like there's a couple guys who kind of changed the game. One of them was Chael Sonnen, and another one is Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And part of the way they changed the game was talking mad shit and getting a lot of people to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
And
Which, cool, you know? Like, it got them a lot of attention. It got them a lot of money. But, like, and if that's what makes them happy, cool. You know? Like,
I think some people think it's a good business decision.
Not everyone is buying the redemption arc or the glossy comeback story being sold. Khabib didn't soften his stance when Conor McGregor's return came up, and he didn't pretend nostalgia could erase reality. He pointed to the damage, especially the punishment absorbed by McGregor's legs, injuries that don't simply fade with time or belief. Those scars linger, they slow you, they wait. Add years where hunger dulls, where fire cools, and Khabib says the equation becomes brutally clear. Prime isn't a phase you revisit, it's a moment you pass through once. After that, no comeback, no roar from the crowd, no manufactured momentum can rebuild it. When the peak is behind you, gravity takes over, and the descent doesn't ask permission.
It's what history shows us. When you take like this damage, you're never gonna be same. Never, ever. Okay, if we talk about Conor, okay, like last couple of years he's not hungry. And now what happened with his legs, like never ever. Never people come back and never gonna be people on the same prime twice. Prime come only one time. You're gonna be on prime after that.
Khabib tied it directly to the White House card, framing the moment as something far heavier than a flashy spectacle. Fighting someone like Cowboy Cerrone could make McGregor look sharp again, explosive, dangerous, and it would absolutely move tickets. But that isn't the real question lingering beneath the lights. The real test is whether he can still survive with the elite, the men who don't blink, like Dustin Poirier, Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira, or Justin Gaethje. For Khabib, the White House stage isn't about spotlight, legacy talk, or inflated numbers on a poster. It's a stress test. A measuring stick. A cold examination of whether McGregor's prime is buried in the past or hiding, waiting to resurface under real pressure. In Khabib's eyes, the matchup won't just decide a winner, it will expose the truth. It will show whether Conor is still a genuine threat in the division or simply the loudest headline left standing.
Gonna go down. It depends you fight with who. If you're gonna fight with Cowboy Cerrone, you're gonna look good. You're gonna be like lion. But if you're gonna fight like guys who on the top, who really best in the world, like Dustin Poirier, like this fight gonna show your level. You know, okay, fight with Cowboy or like these fights, be lion and that's it, make money. This is smart. But if you wanna become champion, if you wanna fight like Beneil, Islam, Charles, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, these guys lions, you know. These guys gonna show your level. And
while Khabib questioned whether McGregor still carries the hunger required to survive at the highest level, Conor fires back with absolute conviction, insisting the answer is yes, and then far more. Heading into the White House card, he framed this return as something darker and deeper than a simple fight night appearance. This, he says, is a personal mission, one forged through faith, isolation, and long reflection. The fire that once pushed him to the top hasn't merely reignited in his mind, it's burned hotter, more controlled, more dangerous. After stepping away to look inward, strip distractions, and recalibrate his purpose, McGregor claims he's coming back sharper, calmer, and ruthlessly focused. He isn't chasing nostalgia, he's chasing validation. To him, the White House card isn't just another event on the calendar. It's a proving ground, a pressure chamber designed to reveal whether this rebuilt version of himself is still capable of standing tall under the brightest lights. This isn't about talk anymore. It's about showing the world that the hunger never left, it evolved.
God that dictates my journey and all of our journeys. And I live my life by God's word. And since around that time that you mentioned at the last event, I've engaged on a spiritual journey. And I'm saved, I am healed. And, you know, on the back of that, the world is in for a treat. The world is in for a treat. My competitive spark that was once in my heart is now a roaring blaze. So I'm very excited. You know, I envy these men up here on this dais. They're right about to make weight, and they're to go in and enjoy and entertain and do what they were called to do, as am I called to do it. And, you know, I'm eager to get back. And right now I had to dial myself in and go inward. And that I done. And I'm very, very excited to come back my own self.
Building on McGregor's promise of a sharper, more focused return, Sonnen added another layer of perspective when discussing who might stand across from him on the White House card. He framed a potential clash with Justin Gaethje as almost a gift, a rare alignment where spectacle and career trajectories collide cleanly, a matchup that makes brutal sense for everyone involved. The violence sells itself, the paths intersect naturally, and the stakes are impossible to fake. But Sonnen was quick to inject reality into the fantasy, warning that nothing survives untouched once the cage door shuts. Agreements, narratives, and expectations all dissolve under pressure. Even if McGregor signs on the dotted line, the fight itself will refuse to follow a script. The outcome will carve its own truth, and the real examination won't be the build-up or the headlines. It will be whether this new, relentless version of McGregor can withstand chaos, absorb damage, and still deliver when it matters most. That's where the hype either hardens into legacy or collapses under its own weight.
Right? Okay, a special treat in the White House and a special treat in Conor McGregor, which is almost a gift, right? Red Panty Night is real. That's a gift for somebody. We'll gift this to Justin Gaethje on his way out the door, and he won't mind fighting in a different weight class because he's leaving anyway. He's not coming up the ranks. This is all part of the thought process as to why it's going to be Conor versus Justin Gaethje, but that is also believed that Justin Gaethje was going to lose. Now, you can't say that. When you go in and you start talking about these deals, there's never say, hey, you're going to lose to Patty. So when you lose to Patty, we're going to bump you up a weight class that won't matter as you're on your way out anyway. Like, you can't say those things. So when he goes in and gets the win, it's very hard to unwind that and go, okay, it's no longer McGregor and Gaethje. They're both going to go. Why? Right? Imagine McGregor that already said yes to Gaethje. He's saying the same thing. He's saying yes.
Sonnen then peeled back the layers on just how tangled things get if McGregor is tossed straight into a title fight. Moving him down to 155 pounds, he explained, doesn't just shift numbers on a scale, it rattles the meaning of a belt, stirs politics, and makes everything suddenly messy. As a workaround, he floated a clash with the loser of Gaethje vs. Patricio Pitbull Freire, a fight that still sparks intrigue and carries high stakes. It's a massive bout with serious appeal, but Sonnen emphasized that the White House card isn't about hype alone, it's about finding a matchup that clicks both in the cage and in the story being told. Then Michael Bisping weighed in, mapping the landscape of potential White House matchups with an eye on star power and narrative gravity. He spotlighted Jorge Masvidal as a sensational opponent for McGregor, noting Masvidal's ties to Trump rallies and the political stage, which amplify the drama. Bisping contrasted that with Michael Chandler, whose recent losses in natural weight class make him less compelling under such a spotlight. Masvidal, meanwhile, boasts a resume built for spectacle and credibility alike, from the fastest knockout in UFC history to becoming the first BMF champion, making him a fighter uniquely capable of delivering both high-level combat and unforgettable drama on a stage as singular and charged as the White House.
Because we've seen on the internet you versus McGregor.
You never know, right? Shit, give them what they want, not what they expect. I could say some big news. And I can't deny or confirm what you just said.
Even Chael Sonnen was talking about it. And as I said, when you look at Jorge Masvidal and the career that he's had, and then you remember Jorge Masvidal has been a massive supporter of Donald Trump. I think he's spoken publicly at rallies for Donald Trump as well. So he's certainly in the good graces of the Trump family, right? And they're the kind of people that they're going to want at the White House. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal. That'll be a sensational matchup. Michael Chandler, of course, losing to Paddy Pimblett the way that he did. And then, of course, when you look at the majority of fights that he's lost, okay, it doesn't really put him in too good of a standing, okay? And, of course, he's 155. Yeah, he'd come up to 170 to fight McGregor, but he's not a natural 170. And Jorge Masvidal has fought at 155, but also finished his career at 170. He did fight for the belt. He did have the fastest knockout in history. He absolutely destroyed Nate Diaz when he became the first BMF. I mean, if you go back to 2019, that...
Moreover, John Anik offered a sharper, alternative lens on the White House card, recognizing the buzz surrounding Conor McGregor's return while questioning some of the whispered matchups. He pointed out that a fight with Michael Chandler, though flashy, patriotic, and headline-grabbing, doesn't pack much real weight in the lightweight division and might even play out at a catch weight, diluting the stakes. For Anik, the genuine intrigue lies elsewhere, clashes with fighters like Nate Diaz or Mauricio Ruffi, bouts that could truly push McGregor's limits. These are matchups designed not just for spectacle, but for real tests of skill, strategy, and endurance, where every punch and every decision inside the octagon carries tangible consequence. The drama, the tension, and the stakes are what make these fights resonate, separating mere hype from meaningful combat, and highlighting whether McGregor's return can genuinely rewrite the story of his place at the top.
Modern young generation of fighters are going to know you for the way you commentate, the way you call plays, the way you are so analytical about fighters. You're amazing at what you do at bringing the whole story to life, and I think it's like one piece of the puzzle that has to be there. Like, we need John Anik, you know, and we've seen you do some other things with the Canelo fight, which was amazing, by the way, which I want to talk about. How much of this chemistry is built off the camera versus on the camera?
Building on Anik's point about fights that actually matter, Michael Chandler stepped forward with a bold, unmistakable call-out. He wants Conor McGregor, and he wants it on the White House stage, where stakes and spectacle collide. Chandler pointed to McGregor's posts, interviews, and even highlight reels as evidence that the feeling runs both ways, that the challenge isn't one-sided. He acknowledged the brutal truth of MMA. Nothing is guaranteed, chaos lurks behind every strike, and momentum can vanish in a heartbeat. Yet Chandler made it crystal clear that alignment exists between the two, that talks are moving, and the possibility is real. Meanwhile, he's already locked into training mode, every movement, every drill sharpened toward the day the UFC finally flips the switch. When that cage door opens, Chandler intends to be ready not just to compete, but to make the matchup the kind of high-stakes, headline-grabbing spectacle the White House card demands.
It's no secret, obviously. I want to fight Conor, and I think it's no secret by the things that he's posting, the interviews that he's doing, the number of times he said my name, posted a video of me and him and our highlights and all that kind of stuff a week or so ago. He wants to fight me. I want to fight him. He wants to fight at the White House. I want nothing more than to be wearing the red, white, and blue stars and bars, walking onto the White House lawn and fighting at the White House. You know how hard it is to put percentages on anything in mixed martial arts. It's such a crazy sport, and that's why we love it. But one thing is for sure, Conor wants to fight me at the White House. I want to fight him at the White House. And conversations are being had. I think things are moving in that direction, but we're never going to know when this thing's going to be announced. So we will see. All I know is I'm going to start training here very soon, like laser focused on June, whatever it is. And they're going to keep holding the cards close to their chest as they always do, trying to keep things a secret. And we'll see how.
We want to hear your take. Which clash do you believe fits Conor McGregor best on the White House card? Is it Michael Chandler, Jorge Masvidal, Mauricio Ruffi, or a completely different contender nobody's talking about yet? Share your thoughts in the comments and dive into the debate with fans and insiders alike. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you stay locked in on every fight breakdown, every insider insight, and every update as this historic, high-stakes card inches closer, promising drama, spectacle, and moments you won't want to miss.